signs. So my focus is totally on those two planets in your chart. And that is Saturn and Pluto. Saturn is ending its stay in Aquarius and will start in the spring going into Pisces. Pluto is ending its trek in Capricorn and it's going into Aquarius. So, Kelly, give me a little bit of why you got interested in astrology and how you see the chart I gave you to look at.
Well, first I start with the tarot. It was like my first step into astrology, actually. So when I start classes with you studying the tarot, I found about the interconnection from the tarot and astrology. So when I started looking what the meaning of each card and where were the planets that rule that card, then that opened the world of astrology to me. So after I started studying more the tarot, I started studying the astrology just to do that comparison. But then I got, after looking at my natal chart and I saw, all the trends on my chart that were so spot on, I started studying my chart deeply, all the relationships and everything. And I was like, wow, this is really our blueprint. This is really our design, our personality. So everybody needs to know this because it's like, you really, a lot of people say but we should come with a manual. Well, this is the manual. So I really got passionate to understand my natal chart first. And then after that, I think I most probably have to be working with this in other life because after I started studying, it became a language that just spoke to me really easily. So it was like a remembering more than learning.
Absolutely. And I find that many people, especially Uranian types, Aquarian types, the opposite, the Leo, Aquarius, Virgo, all of those types have a memory of the language. Again, astrology is a language, just like tarot is a language. It verifies your intuition. So in ancient times, intuition was part of the psyche in everyday work. We grasp things through our intuition. So I'm going to look at your chart and what I sent you, just like I sent to everyone. And here we have it. So I noticed that just because sometimes Saturn transiting is in an empty looking house, Pluto is transiting in maybe in your situation, it is going to hit your south node. Okay. The way we handle that empty house, we look at where our natal Pluto is, where our natal Saturn is. That's the way we handle that. And so we bring Saturn and Pluto to those houses. Now, what I noticed in yours, how have you experienced that south node in Aquarius? Again, that's that memory, your Aquarius, Uranian, the memory of astrology. Astrology is ruled by Aquarius and Uranus.
Wow.
So when you think about the south node is the karmic pattern. And sometimes when astrologers write about the south node, they look at it negatively. I don't. I think we have to depend on the south node to guide us to our north node. You see?
Yes.
So the north node is going to be the opposite in Leo, which is the teacher of astrology. You see? So you're sourcing yourself to be a teacher. Now, how did you see, because I did write down the questions at the end. Saturn has been transiting your 10th house this year and will definitely stress 10th house matters, mostly around authority, career issues. Yeah. And natal Saturn's in the 5th house. The 5th house, Saturn is conjunct Jupiter, so it's very creative. And also, I know you dance. Jupiter rules the dance. Okay. So how do you see lately, in the last 6 months, how do you see your 10th house, your career growing and your authority growing in that career?
Yes, it definitely have been a process of a big transformation for me. I went from dedicating the last 15 years of my life of being an engineer and just, being and developing the leadership and the emperor archetype type, and now moving more towards, developing more my skills to service, connecting with esoteric astrology and tarot. So, and then this year I have, where that was before more like a hobby, now is start becoming more like my career, where I see myself of like doing and servicing others.
So how do you use your creativity in that? Because the 5th house is about creativity.
Yes.
How do you use your creativity in that respect? And when you're working with the tarot, you always want to say, how do I do this? If you put a plan into action, how do I do this? Tarot doesn't answer yes or no.
Yes.
It does answer how.
Yes, I think because that the 5th house also is the house of self-expression. When I went and look at that, it's like, and also having my North Node in Leo, what it came to me is like in previous life, I may have developed a lot of my intellectual mind, very like working to groups and working very methodical, very logical. In this life, my soul, what I really want is that self-expression, to be more childlike, more that creativity, as you say, more the dancing, more the development of the self, more than how it was before towards group service. Now you want it, and it have been showing me to experience in my life. It have been putting me in those position of leadership also, to come out and grow in that Leo, because Leo is also the ruler of the 5th house. So yeah, it's expanding my creativity and learning to have fun and being and experience more of my life from the childlike eyes.
That's great. And I really noticed that Pluto squaring your Mars Mercury in the 12th house. There are a lot of people in the workshop that have 12th house planets. How do you experience bringing the 12th house into consciousness?
Yes, when the first time that I look at my chart, that was what impacted me the most, having all those planets in the 12th house. And then when I read the description and it said that the 12th house was the house of solitude and, secrets and karma and endings and closure, I was like, what this means? I was really impacted. But then also I found other descriptions that talk about the house also of transcendence and consciousness. And most of the information that I found is the power of these planets get hidden from me until I develop myself of inner power to being able to handle those gifts. And that's what I have been feeling that it's have been, my life, like learning to develop the self first, and now being able to drop down the gift from those planets.
And that is a gift. The 12th house has 2 aspects to it that are very important. The one aspect, it is the dive into the unconscious from birth. The wealth of information and service that comes out of the 12th house is like no other. Okay. So you have this incredible confrontation with yourself. How do I serve? How do I best serve? Do I serve? And your son is there. I have a son in the 12th, so I know how that feels. The leadership is put on us at many times when we're not even wanting that. But that has to happen.
We're never looking for it, and we just
no.
put to those positions, yes.
So you have to start looking at it as a service. If I'm asked to be a leader and a teacher, then I have to see it as a service, not my personality and my ego, even though I kind of drag them along. So it helps many times. Plus, in astrology, 12th house planets help uncover that which we don't really want to look at. And when we're guided to counsel, and I know you're going to use counseling astrology, and I'm anxious to work with you with that because you know where people need counseling. That when you have 12th house intuition, you know where they need this information. So I think you've done a tremendous job on this. I have included where the houses, what they mean, but every house, and I noticed you made the connection between your 5th house and your North Node Leo. Leo is the natural ruler of the 5th house. Your particular ruler is Virgo, which is Mercury. So it is very interesting to go through this. And I was going to point out, and I tried to show, by the way, I want to point this out to you too, because in an inconjunct, which is a quincunx, most people come for readings when there is a planet that has caused an inconjunct, because it causes an immediate reaction, an accident, a death, a crisis point. And it's always within 3 degrees. So I pay very close attention to those degrees. For instance, yesterday, just in the planetary section, we had, that was yesterday, was Wednesday. We had Sun conjunct Pluto in the sky. That was an intense day. So things that did not happen, that were supposed to happen, were received intensely. So down the road here, you'll have to excuse my voice. When you're reading your transits, try to always look at the exact point. And I always look at them after the fact. Then I will throw 3 cards, my tarot cards, and ask, how did I work with this? How do I work with this transit? You see what I'm saying? And I put those 3 cards, I write it next to my transits. I keep my transits like a journal. So I can go back and see, because some of these are repeated. The transits are repeated, especially with Saturn and Pluto. Saturn and Pluto will go across certain points 3 times. The first time, second when it goes retrograde, then back again. So you get 3 lessons in how to handle this. The first lesson, you need to know what happened, because by the time it goes the 3rd, you will have risen above that level. You see? So,
yeah.
And you will see that when you counsel other people. So I really, really, really thank you for being so willing to do this and to catch up.